And I have two wonderful gentlemen with me here in the studio.
We like the improvement in the description.
From the usual suspects to two. Now two.
As for the finest, we knew you were being needlessly, what they call it, patronizing, but it's fine.
I believe you are the finest, Raymond.
I see.
The question is finest in what? However,
I knew there was some catch somewhere.
This is what you have brought up on us.
Anyway.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing fine.
Wonderful.
And
wonderful,
Malik?
Wonderful morning.
Everyone's good, family, friends. Everybody. Awesome. Well, hit us with the headlines.
The New Crusading Guide is reporting this morning, I'm not a kidnapper. This is Ofusompo, chairman of the NDC, crying out there. And Rosmus smuggling. Government forms committees to investigate allegations. Non-performing loans decline to 7 billion in 2019. This is according to the central bank. And Magdan is assisting young entrepreneurs, and that's on the front page of a New Crusading Guide too.
Anyway, the graphic business has relief for clients of microfinance firms. 23 to pay customers their due. Move to relieve state and the taxpayer. Back page of the graphic business. Extend anti-corruption fight to extractive sector. That's a report saying.
My friend, the man Elvis Darko's finder is on the front page presenting this story. Springfield makes history as first indigenous Ghanaian and African energy company to drill for hydrocarbons in deep water at depth of some 4,000 feet and beyond. Now, government IPPs begin 3 months talk to resolve the take or pay contracts. Remember the take or pay conversation. They begin. There's already a conversation to make sure that we fix it permanently. And Apayamaki gives some 105 laptops to private school teachers in his constituency.
Raymond, the Springfield story is also on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Other stories, though, are Amidu hands for missing $15 million oil cash. Police intensify search for Otumfuo's chief killer. And Canadian girls kidnappers sweat over bail.
Now, the Chronicle is also talking about oil cash, but this time it's asking, now, this is PIAC demanding government accounts for some 655 million US dollars. This is oil money we are talking about. Also, on the front page of the paper is a dialogue on take or pay, but Akufo-Addo, put your foot down. A book answer in the middle spread of the Chronicle is asking the president with specific individuals and people he thinks is dragging his government down to deal with them according to his principles.
Raymond, our friend Professor Yao Jampo is on the front page of the Daily Statesman newspaper.
Yeah.
He says African elections are about popularity, not competence. Other stories on the front page of the Daily Statesman do. West Africa's largest steel factory commissioned in Accra in Ghana. Take or pay power deals under review. Finance and energy ministries meet power and gas producers.
Now, anymore, more than 1.7 million Ghanaians benefit from LEAP. And we know that as of 2011, even the World Bank believed that this is our best targeted and most improved social intervention program. That is the livelihood empowerment against poverty. It actually gives direct stipends to people. This was the criteria for some people thinking that we could use a criteria. The one that we use in selecting the LEAP beneficiaries is selecting beneficiaries of free SHS too. Because if the person is in that particular level of poverty, any family member in that family will surely be a potential for free SHS by real. And this 1.7 million. The entire free SHS this year will have 1.2 million people benefiting from it.
The good thing is that last year we did a show with them, the beneficiaries of LEAP. Very many of them are excited that the process is transparent and honest. There is integrity.
It's our best targeted program in this country.
My last paper, the Daily Graphic newspaper, banner headline, 6,000 public accounts closed is to ensure efficient management of funds. Government begins power contract negotiations. Fund for HIV/AIDS cure launched. Mentally challenged on streets defeats clean city agenda. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghana Health Service outlines immunization schedule against polio. The last story on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Government inaugurates committee to investigate corruption in rosewood trade.
Right, and Raymond, some bad news there this morning.
Yes, 5 people actually died in the gory accident at the specific junction of the Okanta along the Nsawam Accra Highway in the Eastern region. And the deceased and the injured persons are yet to be identified according to the police. The bodies have been deposited at the Swarm Government Hospital mortuary, while the injured are also responding to treatment at the same hospital. This was confirmed by the Swarm District Police Commander Superintendent Marianne Owusu, who is insisting to journalists that the accident involved 4 cars, other than one of the vehicles which was trying to overtake the other ahead, veered off his lane, crashing into the other. So they were the 2 were on one lane. He was trying to do an overtaking. He couldn't successfully do so, so he just went across the other lane and actually head-on collision, which led to the death of the people involved in this accident. Very terrible incident there.
Yeah,
it reminds me that just this year alone, at the same place, we've had 4 different accidents. We are counting almost 23 different bodies at one single spot across the country. In all, I mean, the Eastern region and the stretch there contributes almost 18% of all of the accidents in the country, and it's not decreasing. That is consistently my worry.
Yeah.
What can we do to get drivers to be responsible? Because I believe that grouping of people is perhaps the most irresponsible in this state. Our roads are like jungle spaces. If you add the Okada drivers to it, riders to it, it becomes a worsened situation.
A zoo.
What can we do to get our drivers
to be more responsible,
to
more
be disciplined?
mindful of their own lives?
Because wrong behavior on the road. That's it.
Yeah, I actually think that there's something else we could do, because we have increased fines. We along the line try to reduce it, but we've increased fines again. We saw through the LI 2180 to improve the regime for dealing with the problem. I don't know what is it with people that when they feel no one is watching, we can't just be disciplined.
Because the punishment and the costs are not punitive enough. Because elsewhere, apart from the fines, once you are fined, you accumulate points. And the accumulation of those points will lead to your licenses being revoked. But even more than that, when you accumulate points, it means your insurance goes up. That's cost to you.
Yes.
Now, when we don't implement all of these costs to the driver can afford to be reckless. Because if you know that if you misbehave on the road and you get fined, it will cost you more money to pay your insurance. It can lead to the revocation of your license.
That is if you are paying insurance and if you have a license.
Absolutely.
In the first place.
And if your license is revoked, there is no chief or no pastor or no imam from your village that can beg for you for that license to be restored. I believe that nobody will misbehave on the road.
It's a complete system overhaul, Malik.
But anymore, there's hope.
Yeah.
And there's hope for the customers of some 23 microfinance institutions.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yes. This is because these 23 microfinance institutions that constitute part of the 347 microfinance institutions that were collapsed, the owners of these companies, or these companies themselves, have indicated to the receiver that they are willing and capable of paying all their liabilities, including the liabilities of their customers.
Okay.
And this is a certain relief to both the state and to the customers. The customers have been complaining bitterly about the delays in receiving their monies. Of course, the receiver himself, Eric Nana Nipa, concedes that there have been delays. Of course, he says that steps are being taken to ensure that people will receive their money in good time. But it's a welcome relief that these 23 companies have indicated to him that they are capable of paying their customers. And that is starting tomorrow,
right,
28th, Wednesday, when these 23 companies will start making all of the payments that they owe their customers from their own resources. You know that these companies were collapsed because, according to the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, the regulator of the finance sector, these companies were insolvent because they were incapable of meeting their financial obligations and they were not operating according to the rules that govern them. The reason why they collapsed them, and they handed them over to a receiver. Now, 23 of them have indicated to the receiver that they will take their burden. They will
take
pay
responsibility for themselves.
They will pay all their depositors all the money, which is a big relief to everybody.
To everyone, yes. And Raymond, PIAC is asking for some money.
Okay, now, anymore, in our sector, the oil sector, royalties are 12.5%, which is based on gross production, and corporate tax is actually 35%. participation interest also 15%. And we can conveniently say that we are raising enough money from the oil fields, even though some people contend that. Since 2010, when we actually started getting money from commercial production, we've raised about $5 billion. The concern of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, the committee we put together as a state, to make sure that they watch the oil money, because the experience from other countries is that if nobody is watching the oil money, it gets dissipated quickly and actually becomes like some, what do you call it, other money that you can misuse anyway, anyhow. PIAC is complaining that in 2017, some $403 million was not utilized out of the annual budget funding amount. So 70% of our oil resource, really, the tax I just talked to you about, all will go into your annual budget funding amount for the budget, right? Then the 30% will go to statutory, specific, legally bound areas like the heritage and statutory funds in this case. Now, the $400 million in 2017 was not used out of the amount of money that was given to the budget funding. $400 million was not used, US dollars. In the year 2018 to $252 million was not used. In all, we are talking about $655 million US dollars.
So where is
that
it?
Between the 2017 and 2018 was not used. Steve Mantiao is asking a simple question. Na sikano wahe?
Where is the money?
They want it shown to the people of this republic what is happening to that amount of money. Because they believe that is how money is siphoned through other means, and it gets into other quarters.
Yes.
They are not doing their conclusions now.
They are waiting.
They are waiting for government to actually produce results on that particular element.
Right.
But government does publish every single year our annual oil receipts, which is mostly on the website of the Ministry of Finance, yes. Ministry. And in the alternatives also submitted to Parliament.
Okay.
So maybe the answers will be in there. But the main question they're asking is that if we are unable to account for this amount of money, it sends a signal that we are not serious about protecting the money that can. And when we want to clear it up, in our first year of implementation of the free SHS, some 480 million Ghana cedis, not million US dollars, was used.
Right.
And this, when translated into our cash here, we are talking about some almost 2 billion Ghana cedis.
But I think that if it was perhaps on the website and had been submitted to Parliament, then that information would be accessible, so there wouldn't be the need for the question.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Public Interest and Accountability Committee.
They would have access to that. But anyway, we've turned Martin Amidu into a hunter.
Yeah, and we are staying with oil money. And this time, it's $15 million that we are talking about. This is the amount of money that the Special Prosecutor, Martin ABK Amidu, is chasing the Police Criminal Investigations Department for. He's asking for a docket. That docket, he believes, will contain some clues as to where this money is and who are the persons to be held accountable for the disappearance of this amount of money. This money was supposed to be used as corporate social responsibility activity in the Cape 3 Point area there, the communities that were supposed to benefit from this amount of money. The money was taken out, but it was not spent. A docket was prepared. Investigation was actually conducted by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. A docket was prepared. Martin Amidu's letter to the CID is now saying that a Deputy Attorney General asked for this docket and did not return it to the police prosecutors. He is asking the CID that he believes that a copy of this docket would be kept with them, because that's the normal practice, that they will keep a secure copy of every docket with them. He wants them to hand over that docket to him so that he can continue with investigation and the possible prosecutions and possible retrieval
of the $15
million.
All right. Okay, Raymond, PDS.
Now, there's an article which I found in the Finer. It's also in the Chronicle. It's also in the Ghanaian Times. That article is pretty much asking a simple question. Is PDS capable of transforming the sector that is supposed to operate in? And this is by Kofi Brack, who is at Dundee, Scotland, if I said it right.
Dundee, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Don't start.
Okay,
Don't start.
Now, I'm not starting anything.
If it was Agogo.
Let's move on.
No, so he makes the point of, he actually traces the history of the PDS and how we went into the MCC and produced some interesting statistics on how far the PDS has performed. It says the observation is made in this case is that a report generated indicated that the system losses has reduced from 27% to 18%. When it comes to the performance of the Meralco, mostly in countries that they have operated, their standard is 6%. Now, when he moves to the situation of power outages, he talks about before PDS took over, the initial number of outages per week was 665. This has been reduced to 219. And when it comes to the debt accumulation within the structures of PDS, it was 3.365 billion Ghana cedis, and it's been reduced to 2.6 billion within the 4 months of the operation of the PDS. And the point you also mix with the reduction in the outages per week is that there's been some 30% improvement as compared to the same period last year. And the conclusion he makes here is that PDS ought to be given the opportunity to show what it can do within the periods required, so that we can properly and appropriately judge its work within what we're supposed to be doing. But I think the other question that anymore you'll be interested in is that the president talked about he coming back and there being a decision on PDS. Up to today, we've not been told what the people who went to Qatar, the delegation from Ghana, what they found and brought back to the state, so that we know the way forward when we are dealing with this. Or are we waiting for the entire 30-day period to expire when it comes to what they call it, dealing with what the way forward is supposed to be with PDS, at least so that we can know what we are going to do with the power distribution services.
Right. And government has done what it does best. It has inaugurated another committee.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
So Raymond was just talking about a team that went to Qatar. The government has inaugurated
but that was
another
not committee.
No, I'm just saying that a team. I'm saying that this time around, government has inaugurated a committee. The purpose of this committee is to investigate corruption in Rosewood. In fact, they are to examine the anomalies in respect of rosewood harvesting, transportation, and export, and submit their report in 5 weeks. You know that not too long ago there was, of course, this committee is chaired by Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Benito Usubio, and includes a chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Forestry, Mr. Francis Menu Adabo, and a representative of the Ghana Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Enna K. Bleche. Now, there was recently an investigative report released by the Environmental Investigation Agency that talked about, even though there's a ban on rosewood, the harvesting and exportation of rosewood, the business was rife. And the business was rife because some politically connected persons were being issued with permits, and they were allowed to cut rosewood and take it to China and sell and make good money. And about $300 million worth of rosewood has been taken from Ghana to China. Now, Raymond, the problem is that whenever we set up a committee to do an investigation, our history has shown that it normally doesn't lead to much. Not much is received. Then we can go to Ghana 50 Commission, the Boss Committee that was set up, the Georgina Wood Commission, the Judgment Debt Commission, the GIDA Committee. All of these commissions and committees that sit and conduct investigations and compile reports. Sometimes the report is not issued. Sometimes when the report is issued, nothing much happens. Let's hope that this time around, the persons who were specifically named as issuing permits and taking bribe
will be dealt with.
I
just want to know what has happened to the Clement Park's petition to the Special Prosecutor too, because it's on Rosewood too in this particular case. Anyway.
Okay, Raymond, in 30 seconds, tell us about Edwin Provençal.
Yes, he is the new boss.
Yes.
So yesterday we brought you that particular story about his appointment and nomination by the president, and the board confirmed that nomination in the course of the day. He is currently the technical advisor to the Energy Ministry and has over 15 years experience in executive management roles in organizations such as, of course, being at Vodafone and other interesting places. He has an MPhil in economics, an MBA in management information systems, and a BSc in electrical engineering. And of course, he has a financial management background too with ACCA. And we know that this is perhaps the third since 2017 boss.
Yes.
Hopefully there will not be any reason why, and we are still yet to know the actual reasons why the
former boss was removed.
So we are going to have a boss every year.
Boss pay.
Well, it looks like boss
1 year,
per year.
one boss.
One B. And the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from Goyle, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you're guaranteed extra quality with our fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of Goyle's over 360 service stations nationwide and experience good energy. Buy Goyle, grow Ghana. Goyle, good energy. Goyle, Yenara Yedia. And at Zenith Bank, helping you save time is our priority. Enjoy 3 great instant services at any Zenith Bank branch nationwide, as well as at our Ho and Winneba agencies. Number 1, instant issuance of MasterCard and debit cards. Number 2, instant replacement of Visa credit cards. Number 3, instant self-generated electronic pins for instantly issued cards. Make the smart choice. Think speed. Think Zenith. Zenith Bank in your best interest. And My Joy Online is reporting probing suspended PPA boss not tough at all. That's according to Shraj. The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice says it is ready to begin full probe into allegations of conflict of interest against the suspended chief executive of the Public Procurement Authority. There's also an op-ed by Kofi Amenyo, Money, Power and Prestige. What is really driving Mahama? And we could ask that question actually for everybody who's standing for power, especially in this season. BBC.com, thousands flee 3-week lockdown in Cameroon. Thousands of residents of Cameroon's 2 English-speaking regions have fled their homes ahead of a 3-week curfew announced by separatist fighters. We're going to take a few messages. We will be right back.
With the